Where is the weirdest or most inappropriate place you have had an orgasm? Hi Reddit guys, subscribe now, or I will post your bedroom secrets. Went to a Halloween party when I was 14ish. It was at my brother's best friend's house. Well, his best friend had a sister around my age, and she was dressed as a witch with a skirt and long stockings. We were just watching movies downstairs, and I was laying on my stomach, and she came and laid on my back. Long story short, she was teasing me by licking my ear, and I came in my pants. Had to pretend I was asleep when it was time to go upstairs so I could sneak into the bathroom and clean up, get rid of my boner. Halloween makes adolescent teens horny for some reason. More like, adolescent teens are horny even without Halloween. Always horny, now they get to dress up. So like, did you two ever go anywhere? Sounds like your brother's best friend's sister was into you. 8th grade, week-long field trip to DC. We stopped at Monticello, and as we stopped I awoke from a wet dream sitting next to my good friend at the time. Was wearing khaki shorts, and yes, it was visible. Nobody noticed though, I hope. Oh, I stopped jizzing up my beautiful city. I'm going to jizz all over your city and you can't stop me. During Hurricane Sandy, I walked out of my back door and jerked off into the wind. I'm not proud. Yes I am. You banged a hurricane. Well, he got a blowjob from a hurricane. A Hurricane Handy into Hurricane Sandy. My boyfriend just told me last night that he'd stick his peanuts in the jets at the public pool to get off when he was like 11 years old. Children at the pool will never look the same to me. All through late elementary school and early middle school, probably every day, I press my junk against the edge of the desk and move side to side really gently until I orgasmed and kept a straight face. I called it wiggling. I had to stop once I gained the ability to shoot loads. Plus 120 XP. You have achieved level 7. New skill. Ability to shoot loads. 30 feet up a tree. My defense is that I was 15. George McFly? What was it, George? Bird watching. What, Lorraine? What? Navy boot camp in a room full of 80 plus smelly dudes. Are these two things correlated in any way? Don't ask, don't tell. Don't ask, don't smell. Shoot, we had a dedicated jerking stall in basic. Girl from Tinder I was talking to was at the hospital because her dad wasn't doing so well. It was getting pretty late and she messaged that she was hungry. Long story short, I brought her some McDonald's. Met her dad briefly, then fricked her in the parking garage of the hospital while her dad was a floor above us dying. Hospital waiting room. Got freaked out cause I couldn't stop humming. The zoo. I hope not with a resident. What's the point of going to the zoo then? Bathroom of every job I've ever had. I was interviewing to be a sheriff's deputy one time. No longer interested in that line of work. But one question, out of a long list of questions asked before the polygraph, was have you ever fapped at work? So glad I didn't get asked that one during the polygraph. That would be a fricked up question if you actually worked from home. The realest answer. Weirdest was in the middle of the road. What can I say? We were young and horny and walking down a road one night. Luckily no cars came. This Shrek show act inspired by Paul McCartney. During a college exam that I was sure I was going to fail, I was sitting there, panicking over not knowing the answers, when my thighs just started trembling. The more I panicked, the more intense the throbbing became. That's an unfortunate fetish. Sounds like a BDSM scenario thought up by Hermione Granger. Anyone have a link to that elit? Inside my best friend's sister. Harry? You're just Harry. Expecto Patrucum. I laughed at this and am sending it to my husband. Been together 7 years. Got married a couple of months ago. How did we meet? Brother's best friend. Don't worry, it all worked out. My brother got ordained and married us with tears in his eyes and a massive grin across his face. I somehow managed to make myself orgasm from squeezing my thigh while sitting down during study hall. I could feel I was almost there, so I kept trying to get there just to see if it was possible. Yes, it was amazing. It was super intense, and I had to have a poker face the whole time, lol. How would you have responded if right when you came, someone turned to you and asked, "Are you umming right now?" Just turn to them and reply with a HNGNG. Got to 70 miles per hour heading north from Virginia in the backseat of my grandparents' car. Was lighting tech for high school drama club. Rubbed one out in the middle of a performance, in the lighting booth, with a full theater. Slowly realizing how much of a freak I am. Have done most of these, except Cleveland. That's just wrong. Theater people are freaky. Can confirm. Was one. The first one is a lie, because no grandparents drive 70 miles per hour. They do, on 100 miles per hour highways. My dad picked me and my girlfriend up from a movie and needed to make a stop at the church. So we had Shreks in the parking lot of a church. He was there for a wake. A threesome with your dad before a wake is pretty fricked up. In the middle of class in high school, I positioned my rock hard willy on my leg and did that leg bounce thing on the ball of my foot. It felt pretty good and I had a class with a very attractive, very annoying girl who I would glance at occasionally, so that helped. Anyhow, there in front of God and everyone I shot a sticky load straight down my leg, which of course started to seep through my pant leg. After class I tactfully held my backpack in front of me as I scurried off to the bathroom and cleaned up best I could. Luckily it was the last period so I could wait until the halls were relatively deserted to leave. No hands fapping. Why didn't I think of this before? You don't wanna know the amount of times I've had to stop playing Skyrim and use my hands like a chump. Lusty Argonian maid really gets you going. Huh. Wasn't it a story about her cooking him a loaf of bread and maintaining his weapons clean? I think there's a few different editions. In the one I remember she had to clean his spear, however she remarks it's too big. In a movie theater while watching the movie High Crimes. We waited until an hour in it, no one else was in there, and the usher had already done his count so he wasn't coming back in. She wore a skirt, we moved the armrests up and she climbed on top of me. It was good Shreks, and it was the first time I came inside my girlfriend. I was at a club in my drunken haze with a recently divorced woman friend of mine. She ended up dancing really hard against me and I got rock solid. She felt it and took my hand leading me out of the club. We found the closet dark alleyway which happened to be quite narrow. About 4 steps in she ran into someone's bicycle. She bent over it and grabbed the handlebars. She looked back expectingly. I proceeded to pull up her dress, wet my willy and made that bicycle our 3rd and 4th wheel. This sounds like the plot of a Pinot, but it believe it. Checking alleys around clubs and you're liable to find 1 or 2 couples fricking. I actually got invited out into the alley for a romp way back in the day. I was so surprised that it was actually a thing that I said no. We were in a super busy part of town so it would have been almost impossible to really find an abandoned alley. I had just met the girl like 45 minutes before in the club, and I am way not smooth enough to handle that situation well at all. What a beautiful story. A funeral home. I used to hook up with a young lady who worked for one of those cleaning companies that go into banks, offices, libraries, etc. after hours and clean up, and one night, she was sent to clean up at a funeral home that was near my home. Since she was by herself and felt a little creeped out, even though there were no bodies there while she was working, she called me and I went over to hang out with her. Before the job was over, I had her bent over a display casket. I'm going to hell for this and I know it, but it was awesome. St. Peter will be giving you a slow clap as you approach the pearly gates. You're the type of people who die in the first 10 minutes of a slasher horror movie. Blowjob in a cemetery next to a busy parkway. Monica Lewinsky'd all over her shirt. Afterwards she went home to her parents' house and when they asked about the stains she told them it was fettuccine alfredo sauce from dinner. We still laugh about that to this day. Monica Lewinsky'd all over her shirt. Wouldn't that rather be Bill Clintoning all over her shirt? No. He took the shirt and kept it in a dry cleaning bag for proof to back up future court testimony and autobiography. I took MDMA before a Tiesto concert in college. When I was at the peak, he played Secrets and the drop sounded so incredible that I literally came in my pants without any physical stimulation, well beside the bass buzzing in my clock. Pretty much every time I've mixed acid and MDMA I've got orgasmic without any kind of stimulation. My ex thought it was really weird, but it happens. Driving down the highway. Making my way downtown. Jerking fast. Faces pass. Can I now? Do. Cleveland. You disgust me. When I was 14 or so, my girlfriend at the time gave me a blowjob in the back of our family SUV going down the road with my mum, dad, and elderly grandmother sitting not 5 feet in front of us. At some point I had to stop her, because a car got behind us and the headlights were shining through and the shadow of her head bobbing up and down was on the front dash. My like 85-year-old grandmother said shortly thereafter, "I hate being on the road on nights like this. Makes you think you see things that aren't there." I always wonder if old Mama W. Hazel knew what was up. Pretty sure my brother and his girlfriend tried this shoot, but for some reason neither of them thought the other 3 people in the car could hear the obvious noises. But I didn't dare look back, so I don't know, maybe she was trying to suck out his stomach through his mouth with a bit too much gusto. Slurp slurp. Oh, she knew. She definitely knew. Okay Reddit guys, subscribe now, or I will post your bedroom secrets.